This morning we have the opportunity to hear from the governor of the state of New York. Amen. And if you come up, Governor, to the podium, I have known him for years. We were upstairs talking. I told him he was once as old as I am, but now he's telling me he's another age lower. But I ain't gonna mess with him because we've been together too long. And I am so grateful that you take this time out to come and be with us on today. There is so much going on in our state. Amen. Y'all want to hear some good news? Y'all want to hear some good news? All right. Well, let me give him the mic, and we're going to have some good news. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. First to Reverend Flake and First Lady Elaine, it is such a pleasure and an honor to be back once again with you. This is coming home for me. I'm a Queens boy, which you would be able to figure out in my accent. I grew up right up near Francis Lewis Boulevard. My father, you remember my father, Mario Cuomo, great governor of the state of New York. And the Reverend was my father's congressman. Congressman Greg Meeks is now the congressman. So a lot of memories, and on a personal level. Every time I needed support, every time I needed a friend, the people in this church were there for me, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I hope you're happy with what I'm doing. I'd like to acknowledge Congressman Meeks and Senator Leroy Comrie, who are with us. The Reverend made that comment about age. I try to stay away from those topics. No good comes when you raise the topics, but I don't really understand what's going on. The Reverend, when he was a congressman, was a little older than myself. Congressman Meeks and I were the young guys. We were the young Turks. We were the young rabble-rousers. We're sitting upstairs now with the Reverend. He looks younger than me and the congressman. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand it. I think it's the power of the Lord. Power of the Lord. Look at him, 21 years old. Reverend Flake. Thank you for giving us a few minutes. We are on a tour going all across the state because we're getting down to the end of the legislative session in Albany. The next month, the legislature is going to vote on very important issues, and we're trying to get up support for some very important issues that will make a big difference, and we want to talk to people all across the state. So we came up with an idea that sounded like a great idea. We'll get in a recreational vehicle, one of those big campers, and we'll drive all over the state, visiting everywhere, and get the word out about the two items we're going to talk about. It's one of those ideas that sounds good for about 10 seconds when you first say it. And as soon as you get in that RV, which is like driving around in a microwave oven on wheels, it starts to look different. But I have a partner with me who is no stranger to the people who are here, who is George Gresham and that great Union 1199, which is a great vehicle for social justice. And our point is very simple. We can do a lot of good this year. It is tough out there. When the Reverend said before, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of negativity going on. And there's a lot of hardship going on. And the truth is, put the politics aside, because the politics is more a reaction to the anger than is driving the anger. The anger, the fear is there. And it's real. Because in this economy, if you are in the middle class, if you're a working family, you're going backwards. And you're going backwards for a long time. And all the economics are a stress that's only getting worse, and you can't even keep pace with it. What at one time was a decent salary, you can't even live on anymore. And then you have a child who wants to go to college, forget it. I mean, how do you even afford it? Your house was supposed to be going up in value, and that was going to be your retirement fund, and that was the equity in your house was everything, and now the value of your home in some places isn't even where it was 7 years ago. And it's not just a feeling, it's true. The middle class in earning power have gone backwards over the past 20 years. Backwards. You can't buy today what you could have bought 20 years ago. And what this economy has done is polarized people. Some people are doing extraordinarily well. If you are in the financial firm, if you have access to capital, they're making more money than ever. We're making more millionaires and billionaires than ever existed in the history of this country. But if you're in the middle class, you're left out. It's an economy of the lucky and the left out. You're either doing great or you're going backwards. And we have two measures that can actually do something about it in this legislative session. One, we want to raise what's called the minimum wage. The minimum wage is a law that was designed by FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He was a great governor of New York before he became president. And the minimum wage said, if you work full time, you deserve a decent living. A decent living. What FDR was saying, point George Gresham makes, there is decency in work. I don't care what you do. You're a carpenter, you're a plumber, you're a bricklayer, whatever you're doing. There is decency in work. And there is respect in work. And there is dignity in work. And if you're working, you should have a decent living. The minimum wage is now $9 an hour. We just actually raised it once. $9 an hour is $18,000 a year. You cannot raise a family in New York on $18,000 a year, period. You can't do it. It's simple math. You look at the rent, clothing, insurance, it doesn't add up. We want to take the $9 minimum wage, we want to raise it to $15 an hour so people can actually live a decent life. The second initiative we have is something called paid family leave. We're all working harder than ever before. You're working 7 days a week, you have your BlackBerry, you have your cell phone, people never stop talking, and that's constant, it's constant. Productivity's gone up all through the roof. But somewhere in the middle of this, we're losing family and the connections to family. And life was not just about work. Life was about the balance of work with family and the connections with family. And we don't want to lose that. And there are times in life when you should really be with the family. The good times, you have a baby, mother wants to be home with the baby, father wants to be home with the baby. They should be. Enjoy that time, bond with that child. On the other side of life, there are bad times where a loved one is getting sick and they need help, and you want to be there with the loved one. And you should be. I just went through this with my father last year. We knew we were losing him, and the doctor said it's a matter of months, and he was just in his bed in his apartment. And every time I talked to him, he'd say, you know, pal, if you could come by, I know you're busy, but if you could come by, that would be great. And I would go by, and there was nothing left to say, but just, I would hold his hand, I'd give him a smile, I'd poke him a little bit and tell him a joke. But it was so important that I was there. And I'll tell you, in truth, in this beautiful church, I kick myself for not being there more. Because yes, I was busy. But you know what? I don't even remember what I was doing that I was so busy. And I should have been there with him. That was the important time. Federally, there's a law that says you have 12 weeks of family leave. If you want to stay home with a child, if you have a loved one who's dying, you can take off 12 weeks and they can't fire you. That's nice. But the 12 weeks is without pay. So who can really take off 3 months without pay? That's why they passed the law in the first place, because they knew nobody could do it. You can't take off 3 months with no pay. We're passing a law in this state that 12 weeks paid family leave, but you actually get paid a good portion of your salary, so it's a meaningful option. Minimum wage, and paid family leave. When you elected me, and I stood right here, I didn't have as much gray hair. Reverend was a little older at that time, now he's a little younger. I said, I believe we can use that government and we can make this state a better state and we can make your life better. These two things, minimum wage, paid family leave, will make life better for people in this state. We just have to get it passed. I need your help. Martin Luther King said, the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. He also said, it does not bend on its own. It's not just evolution. You have to grab a hold of that arc and you have to bend it with your effort. Because he said, there is no progress that is not struggle and not a fight. I need you to weigh in with the legislature. Call your senator. You don't even have to call him. He's here today. Just grab him. Just grab him. Grab him on the way out of the church and say, don't come back to this church unless you pass minimum wage, paid family leave. That's all. I don't want to put any undue pressure on your senator. I like him. But just grab him. Just only grab him. Say, don't come back. The Lord will not forget. And that's a problem. And you don't want to be on the wrong side of Reverend Flake and the congregation and the law. Do you support paid leave and minimum wage? Yes. Yes. He said yes. That's one vote we got. We got a vote. So, your assemblyman, your senator, tell them don't come home without it. Thank you for the friendship. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the support. God bless you.